and really start to understand that data and begin to draw a map around what that data means for your organization. And it can mean a lot of things, as we've talked to other customers in the industry, helping them to deliver strategic plans on how they're onboarding employees, increasing employee engagement, and driving training as a business outcome mechanism and mapping to success. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump to the back end of the system, which is the dashboard. And I'm logged in as a sample group administrator, which I know most of you are. So this should be a view that all of you have when you click the admin button in the upper right-hand corner. The first thing that you're going to see is your group dashboard. So this dashboard will show usage for your group of users, and it's going to give you a high-level representation of usage within the users that roll up to you. So first, you're going to see a 13-month roll. You're going to see trend lines on enrollments and completions. This group here, the blue line represents enrollments, so those are courses that have been launched. The green line represents completions. So you're able to take a high-level view, really to see your trends as far as how many courses folks are enrolling in or being enrolled in, and then some completion rates, some high-level completion rates. The next step down is going to be some highlights. Now the highlights will compare your group to the university average. You may also have subgroups within your hierarchy that you look at. So it's really going to give you the group total. Your average is going to be the 13-month roll. So the first line is going to show the group total, and this is total forever. So it's going to be the number of enrollments, the number of completions, course hours. Now, course hours maps to, there's two ways that we track time in our system. Course hours in this instance is the amount of time that the instructor or the administrator put on that it should take you to complete a course. So this is a roll-up of that. We also track actual seat time, so we also track the amount of time that somebody actually spends on a course. This data is not that, and I'll show you in a second, in a little bit, where you can find that data. The group average is a per month number, so this is the amount of enrollments per month, per user, actually no, per month, I'm sorry, and the number of completions, blue bucks being the rewards that manufacturers provide onto training. And then you've got a university average, so you can see how your group of users compares to other groups in the overall university usage. There's quick links here that you can access reports. You can also have this dashboard. We send out dashboards on a monthly basis, the last day of the month. So if you have another person within your organization, another administrator that has an active account within ASA University, you can choose to have this dashboard emailed, and it's looks like it's daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Monthly tends to be the most active one that is used. We find that daily and weekly tends to be a little much unless you want to receive that information in that cadence. At the bottom, you can pull a high-level report through an Excel download, and I'll show you what that looks like. And this is just going to give you total enrollments and completions per user in your group. And since this is in an Excel format, it exports into Excel, and from here you're able to filter. But this doesn't give you a whole lot of data, just again as more of a summary on the amount of courses folks have taken. I think the important thing here to recognize, if you're looking for data around what we see at most from is completion rates. So we want to see what users are starting and at what cadence users are completing courses. And this may help identify ongoing training opportunities for you and your organizations. For instance, I won't pick on Jessica, but I'll pick on this sample user. You can see here that they've started 13 courses and they've completed 4. So that might help you to identify gaps in knowledge at a very high level. It might help you to identify and help them drive from a time management perspective what training they're either starting and not finishing, and help the engagement level to help the employee through whatever modules they need to finish. And we'll get into a second here. We can show some data around exact courses. But this just gives you a high-level overview of what your group is doing. And again, since it's in Excel, you're in Excel, you can save it outside of the Blue Vault system and do what you want with it. So the next thing I wanted to look at today is a little bit deeper dive into transcripts. I think I showed this last month, I'm sorry. A high-level overview here. You can search for transcripts with users in your group, but I want to do a little bit deeper dive because I just saw a second ago, I saw that this my sample user has only completed 4 out of 13 courses. So I want to get in and kind of find out maybe which courses they've finished. I want to see which ones they're still enrolled in. I also want to see, and you're going to see in red notes here, which ones they're behind schedule in. Again, increasing the employee engagement, figuring out kind of where their gaps are, what they're having trouble with, what they're succeeding in, and where we can help. It's also going to help identify the user as far as when they enrolled in a course. So you might see if it's been a big gap, it might be something that they've either ignored or from a company perspective, something that you guys have gone away from that you can re-engage. I want to look at one that they've completed though. Let's look at offline. Let's look at this customer retention. So again, it was started April of 2015, finished up in July. You can see here the course length is 75 minutes. Again, this length was determined by the administrator. This isn't actual course seat time. I'll show that here in a second. The cool thing here is when I expand out, actually this isn't a good example, I'm sorry. Looks like this user was manually passed. Oh, Jessica, this is your sample user. I want to go back and show.
Brandon, you could feel free to take a look at my transcript because
I click on you? Right on. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's show the 3D residential schematic. So Jessica, good job. She started it on the 24th, finished it same day. That's good information to track. Course length 120 minutes, so she probably completed it in one sitting. Okay, this is great. So here, within that course, there's going to be sometimes a module or multiple modules. A module can consist of the learning instance, whether that's a video, a PowerPoint, an interactive module. It can be a quiz. It can be a download. It could be a survey. It can be a number of different things. So here you're able to really track and see behavior within those modules. So I want to click here. You can see here she passed terms and conditions at 100%. I'm able here to really dig down and see the results. You can see here she was asked a question. It looks like a true-false question at the end, probably to verify download of the terms and conditions. Answered incorrectly, it verifies download, timestamps when that happened. The learning module itself, I'm not sure. So it shows here that it was viewed. View results. Okay, good. So this tells me a couple of different things. This looks like it was a video module. I can see here what type of module it was. The course settings say that in order to be marked complete, they just have to view it. Users just have to view it. There's no minimum time. Some videos will have a minimum time. So if it's a 10-minute video, you have to watch it for, say, 7 minutes in order to be marked complete. Looks like Jessica spent a minute and 44 seconds on this video. So this just shows how much time was spent on it. See if I can find another one here. I see a couple manual passes. Let's look at this one. Again, here, she enrolled on the 12th, finished it on March 20th. It was a pretty long course, 180 minutes, about 3 hours, so it was probably completed in multiple sittings. And I'm hoping this one will show what I want. So this has, it looks like, multiple quizzes within the modules. This has granular data that you might not want to look at, but if you do, because there's a lot of information here, I'll show you a bit better place. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to show you a bit better place. So we can pull actual runtime data, how folks have answered certain questions a certain way, so you can really dig in and identify potential gaps in learning. I also wanted to show in this, I'm hoping, Jessica, I was hoping I could find a video that had multiple viewings. Do you know of any other courses? Let me see if this one's it. No, that's just an evaluation, and this had results. Okay, I'm going to pull some screenshots because there's a way that you can dig in and see how many times users launched a video. The video a second ago where Jessica had watched it for a minute 44 seconds, if she had gotten out and gotten back in and watched it for another 2 minutes, that would show up as multiple viewings. And the important thing to recognize there is you can identify instances when learners are going back into modules for refreshers. This shows engagement. It shows that they're going back and using the system for knowledge retention and to hopefully clarify something that they had learned in the past.
And Brandon, while you're looking at that, I think this is the perfect time to respond to one of our questions that have come up, which was some leaders do get hung up on the fact that there's a large difference between the enrollment date and possible completion. But from an admin perspective, we sometimes just want to be sure that they are actually getting the content they need. So multiple viewing would be part of that engagement piece. What other things can you say to managers that just want to push completions rather than the actual completion, that want to push completions without necessarily completing the course, showing that multiple piece of engagement, that type of thing? What else is there?
So you want to show if just to clarify, if you're seeing a large number of folks that have started a course but haven't finished yet, a way to drive to completion?
Not necessarily just drive to completion, because some training admins just like to have the training on demand rather than have the student actually complete the course. So either seeing multiple launches, seeing that they're actively using the course, whether or not they've completed it in its entirety is a different aspect. So is there another way that we can see how many times they may have launched into a course other than just videos?
Oh, yeah, yes, I see what you're saying. So I don't think our reports have that. So our reports, though, do have seat time. So I'll probably get over here in a second to where you can see and you can compare course length to seat time. And so I think that'll be the closest way to get there. For instance, you know, if a course, say this back safety course is 18 minutes, and there's a couple different places you can dig into data. It doesn't look like they've finished this yet, but if a course is 18 minutes, you can pull a report to show seat time. So if, Jessica, if you've spent 25 minutes on an 18-minute course, it probably tells us that you have gone in for longer than you should. I don't think we don't track right now number of launches within a module.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so so those are transcripts. Let's look at, because I think this will take a few extra minutes, let's look at the course enrollment totals, and what we're going to do is pull a detailed report. I want to show you guys a couple things. So I'm going to pull it for all dates, all courses. So when you do pull reports, just remember you can segment report columns. So here I can go through and I can pick course name, user information, the last time they logged in. This is important to show engagement. So if you're pulling an overall report for users, you can see when the last time they logged into the system. This may help identify gaps in how active they are. Course progress. Some of this stuff is more for our ILT. And here is course seat time. And let me make sure and pull course length. Okay. So again, I can, to reiterate, I can schedule this report to be sent to me at a future date. I can also save my settings. So if I know I'm going to want this report again, I can save the report filters that I just put in, and I can run it now. When I run it now, again, it'll be exportable in a couple of different formats within the university. So right now, this is still sitting within ASAU online. I can do some filtering here, not a lot. Where the value of the filtering comes is through download to Excel. So now, the cool thing is I've got this file in an Excel format. Let me expand it out. So it's only going to show the report columns that I decided to pull. So course name, course seat time, course length, the user information, first name, last name, email address, the last time they logged in. I'll expand this out a little bit more. There we go. Course progress. The cool thing about this is it helps you at a high level identify, all right, which courses are being completed, which ones are enrolled in. Might be more important to identify this, which ones are behind schedule. And so real quick, behind schedule, Jessica, you guys set that at the training track level and the course level, is that right?
It's actually set at the course level only,
Okay.
which is 120 days, I believe.
Okay.
It should be, yes.
Cool. So a learner will be marked behind schedule when they pass a date as set by ASA administrators. That clock starts when learners are enrolled in a course. So it's time-stamped of when either a course is purchased, which automatically, most of the time, if not all the time, marks enrollment. That's when the clock starts. So users will be marked behind schedule, as Jessica mentioned, 120 days from that date. You've got your enrollment date and completion date here. So at a high level, I'm able to see, at a very granular level, I'm able to see course seat time, completion records for individual users. What we've started to do is we've started to work with customers on that next layer down on kind of what everything means and mapping more towards either completion rates, completion percentages, which courses are being taken and enrolled in more than others. We've started to work with customers, and I've watched a couple tutorials on pivot tables within Excel. A pivot table is a great way to take all of this data and kind of massage it in a meaningful way that kind of maps to what you're looking to dig out of all of this stuff. And that might be, again, very high level. I just want to see what courses are being enrolled in, which ones are completed. That's it. Or maybe I want to start to dig down into business outcomes, and maybe I want to track, how my branches are operating, where I feel the knowledge gaps are within my salespeople, how that maps to obviously other training that's going on within your branches, face-to-face, hands-on, those training along with, to augment that, the university. And I want to see, can I start to identify gaps in knowledge in my branches, and maybe there's a correlation, or maybe there's something that the university that we're not taking an advantage of that can help those gaps. So with that said, I'm going to look for. This will be different. I'm on a Mac right now in Excel, so this is a little different. But you're going to be able to pull a pivot table. It's going to give you the cell data that you're going to want to pull, and it's going to ask you to pull a new worksheet, which you want to do. And now this moves everything over. You can see here a separate tab was opened. I've still got my detail report here on the bottom as another tab. This is all my data. Now I'm able to start to massage some things in these rows and columns. And so what I'm wanting to do here is say I want to pull course name, and I want to pull the enrollment date and completion date. So now this is going to be, remember, based on my criteria way back when I pulled the course enrollment totals report. I asked for all dates. This is forever. You can obviously segment that data. This is now showing me which courses are being enrolled in, and this group isn't super big, so there's not a lot of usage here, but it's telling you in a to Z fashion at a very high level which courses are being enrolled in and completed. And it could help you identify, hey, these are courses that folks have started. Completion rates for this sample group, Jessica, we need to work on the completion rates for these guys, right? They're not finishing stuff up. We got to get on them to finish up. But it does. It really helps you identify what folks are doing, what they're not doing, and it can help give you that high level. And then it's easy with these pivot tables. You can pretty much just kick stuff out. So there, I kicked that data out. And now I want to go into, you can identify folks usually by email address. And again, high-level data around courses that they've started by user account. And what you can do is you can pull course subcategories within that. So maybe by email address, I want to see course name. And now I've got a nice rolled-up view in a table format, and I can see this user, these are the courses that they've enrolled in. These are whether they've started or finished it, and this gives me a rolled up total. Again, digging down into that next layer around completion rate, seeing kind of who's doing what.
And Brandon, I think it's important here to also note that obviously we have people that are enrolled in subsequent trainings, which is an important piece of seeing that there's value within the training. So whether or not they've completed the course, may or may not tell us, obviously, some knowledge transfer in addition to on-the-job observations. But
okay.
The fact that they've started a course and then taken a subsequent course after that is also important to note that there's value within the course, whether or not they've completed in its entirety.
Got it.
So this is a good way to show that too.
Cool. So here I can kind of, maybe now I decide I want to kick this out. Now I want to see the last time they logged in. I'm going to pull that here. And then I need to go in this, that's account. This might not be the best thing. Nope, that's not it. I need to figure out here. So there's a way, there's a number I can pull that'll show them the date of last login. I can't quite find it here. So you might be able to identify, again, training trends, how active they are in the system, when they logged in last time, and that might help identify it too. So I know I kind of went on there for a second. And I know we're pushing up against the half hour. Jessica, should I probably, I can go into a couple other things. We can open it for questions for the last few minutes, whatever you prefer.
Let's go through this one question that I did have come up because it might guide us to where we're going next. But how many organizations, on average, obviously this isn't going to be an exact number, but do you see that are regularly pulling data and actually using that data to push training are more successful than others? Do you find that to be the case overall?
Oh yeah, by far. It's you know, I think it's important to have administrators, and how they drive training really depends on culture, and how training and having a culture of training and a culture of learning within an organization. The more administrators are involved in mapping whatever learning and whatever training that they're providing, and listen, this is separate from an online university, but just in general. I mean, certainly this online university and ASAU and kind of what we help our partners provide, it helps, is kind of that spoke in the wheel. It helps drive successful business outcomes, and our successful administrators and the successful universities are really mapping learning and getting into the system, and they're starting to really map the data that they can pull and how that relates to business outcomes and what business outcomes they're looking to deliver. And I think it's very important that administrators take ownership and empower themselves to really get into the system, you know, pull reports, see which employees are taking more training than others, and how that maps to, and how that helps in the formula. It's not the be-all, end-all to job performance, but it can certainly be part of the formula that equates to successful job performance, is having their users ingrained in the learning culture. So yeah, I think it's really important. You know, we work with customers from all industries, mostly within the construction trades, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, industrial tool supply. The most successful customers are the ones that take ownership over their university and really drive learning to a successful business outcome. So absolutely. Did that answer your question? I'm sorry, I got going.
Yes, I believe it did. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Brandon. I think let's pause on the pivot tables. I think it was a great overview of how we can actually manipulate the data once pulling an Excel report. And we did want to take a quick loop back around to a piece we touched on last session about recording external training. So we just wanted to clarify that for all of our users here again. Basically, there's two ways that a learner can record external training. One would be a manager sending that information directly to ASA University online, and actually we'll upload that information then from there. The second piece would be for the student to do it themselves through their transcript portion, which Brandon's showing here. Once they do that, they can add it to any area, and that will send us an alert here at ASA University, which we can then confirm that they have completed a course. So Brandon, I'll let you kind of show what you're exactly doing here.
So I took a 1-hour sales seminar in Boston. I got 100%. I finished it in January of 2016. So an administrator may ask for more data if there's, you know, paper proof or anything like that. We don't really have the ability to attach any documentation, but at least this gets the process started to add something to a transcript. So you'll probably, if this is something that you implement in your branches, you'll probably want to set up a process. If there's any sort of paper process or record tracking process, you'll probably want to take that offline. I would imagine at some point we'll build out this functionality a little more, but this at least allows you to add stuff to the transcript. So this, it gets submitted, and it does say, we added this just to say, hey, if you have a certificate, you need to get it to your administrator for completion. And Jessica, I think that's where the communication would happen between you know, a member administrator and you guys on approving it.
That is exactly correct, yes.
Okay, cool. So it's pretty easy. We try to make it not too complex for learners to go in and try and add stuff, and then communication will happen back and forth as things get approved.
And then a question came up that for the attachments, there is currently no attachment piece to this.
Correct.
They would have to provide that to ASA University to get the confirmation, and then the piece will show up on their transcript officially.
Yep.
But to actually attach the piece, that's not a current functionality of the system.
No, not quite.
Perfect. If there are any other questions, feel free to go ahead and post them up there now. I'll keep an eye on it as we close here. But I don't see any at this time.
Okay.
Brandon, do you have anything else you'd like to cover?
No, thanks again for joining. I know this is probably a lot of information into a half hour, so if anyone has any questions, reach out to Jessica, myself. I'd be happy to jump on a second phone call to walk you through a little more if there wasn't quite something that didn't quite connect, or even if there's data within your branch that you want us to look at together within the university and pull reports together. I'm happy to schedule that.
Perfect, thank you. So I'd like to again thank everybody for attending today. If you do have any questions, as Brandon said, feel free to send them our way. You can contact me directly at my email, jsacker@asa.net. Once you do leave today's webinar, you will have a survey on the presentation as well as on upcoming webinars. We'd like to capture some ideas that you, our users, would like to see for our upcoming webinars and move forward with those first. So please be sure to complete that. It'll be at the very end. It'll be a pop-up when you close the screen here, and we'd appreciate that. You'll also receive a follow-up email within the next week with a recording of the webinar, and we can enroll you in the webinar as a course as well. You can join us for our next webinar, which will be on Tuesday, May 3rd at 10 a.m. Central. And again, on behalf of ASA University and Blue Volt, thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.